think it's wonderful to have this event promoting creativity and innovation in NAFTA negotiations, because the reality is that it is extremely difficult to achieve innovation without the protection of ideas. More than that, while international trade agreements have traditionally focused on lowering tariffs and ensuring market access for the exchange of goods and services, the reality is that an increasing proportion of North America's economy entails intangible assets such as creative and innovative work product, intellectual property, and knowledge. Josh talked about how 38% of the US GDP is now produced by innovation and creativity-based industries, supports 40% of our workforce. Those jobs in the US actually pay a 46% wage premium over non-IP intensive jobs. That's actually double the level of 1990. And when you look at our NAFTA trade partners, in fact, I once heard Jim Balsillie, who was the CEO of RIM, the founder of RIM, the maker of the BlackBerry. He said recently that, quote, Canada does not have innovative intellectual property to sell to the world. And I think that mentality has too often influenced the position of Canadian IP negotiators. But the reality is that 2 million Canadian jobs depend on intellectual property, and that fully 31% of Canada's GDP comes from IP-intensive industries. Likewise, in Mexico, the contribution made by the country's knowledge-based industries to Mexican GDP has actually doubled over the past 10 years. Put it all together, and you see that at least 1/3 of North American economic output comes from creative and innovation-based industries. More than that, industries like film, music, video games, and life sciences are a significant contributor of exports and trade surpluses for both Canada and the United States. And beyond all of this, strong intellectual property rights improve trade. Studies conclusively show that countries with stronger IP rights trade more in general, and they trade more with one another. Stronger intellectual property rights for patents, copyrights, and trademarks are associated with higher levels of both domestic R&D and inbound foreign direct investment, and they facilitate greater levels of technology diffusion and the exchange of know-how. In essence, shared intellectual property rights become a connective tissue that facilitates greater levels of trade between countries. And that makes the opportunity that NAFTA presents to develop the world's most sophisticated rules to support IP to make innovation happen in our countries so vitally important. Ultimately, respect for creativity and innovation through the protection of intellectual property rights must be a paramount trade priority for negotiators from all three countries.